Hi everyone, I'm Dre, the host and founder of the Dragon Network. So for today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the architecture behind health information exchange. In general, for the exchange of clinical data, there are three architectural models that are typically followed within the healthcare industry. And those three models are centralized exchange, federated exchange, which is also sometimes referred to as decentralized, or a hybrid model, which is a combination of the two. So what do we mean by centralized exchange? So with this model, data is collected and stored in a central repository. So think along the lines of a data warehouse or a data lake. The organization that's responsible for maintaining the exchange has full control over the sharing of the data in this model. This includes control over the authentication and the authorization process for accessing the data, as well as the process for recording data transactions between authorized exchange participants. So with everything stored in a central location, there's typically a quick turnaround between the request for data and an actual return response. One of the largest challenges with a centralized model, aside from, of course, the cost for the organization that is putting it in place, is the implementation of the actual patient matching algorithms. So when you're bringing a bunch of information in from disparate systems and placing them in a central repository, it's important to ensure that you're collating the data in the correct manner. You want to make sure the logic, the algorithms, and the governance models are in place so that you actually can formulate a full, robust data set for each of the patients that are in that data store. And if that is not done, then your risk of data omissions or patient mismatches will increase, which of course would result in either incomplete or incorrect information going out to the data requester. So the second model is a federated or decentralized model. And with this model, the data actually remains at the source or with the point of service. If you have a number of different entities that are connected together in a health information exchange, each one of them is going to maintain full ownership of their own data, and they're going to actually put the controls in place for the access and authorization in order to respond to a query. So in this model, the gathering of data happens on an as-needed basis, and the authorization occurs within the source systems. So each time a query is made or a request for data comes forward in a federated model, there's a record locator service or an RLS service that actually will reach out to the connected entities or the connected sources and is going to ask those systems to return the data that you're looking for. So in a federated model, if I'm looking for all the information on Dre, then the RLS service will reach out to all the connected systems and see if there is in fact a record for that patient, for me, and if there is, return within the parameters that we're looking for any data that that source system has held. So it's up to the source system to actually determine if the patient is a match to what they're looking for and to gather and return the information back. The organization that hosts the federated HIE can actually offload some of the storage requirements to the source entities. So if you have a bunch of different organizations that are connected together, all the storage, all of the sort of maintenance, security, the ownership, again, is going to remain with those source systems. So you have a little bit of offloading of that. You still do want to make sure that you've got algorithms for patient matching in place, and you want to make sure that there's data checks along the way, and that's so that you can ensure that you're getting the most robust response possible and that you are in fact reaching out to the correct systems instead of just casting that overall wide net. The RLS system will maintain a list of patients that are contained within the database, as well as the type of procedures, processes, or visit types that are actually associated with each of the entities that are connected. One of the bigger challenges with a decentralized model is just the sheer number of technical connections that are actually in place, and maintaining those connections and making sure they're up and running at all times in a secure manner can be quite challenging. With that said, if you do actually have trouble with one of the technical connections to a source, you're not going to lose the ability to query the rest of the sources because they are all independent. The final architecture model that we have is hybrid, where we've got a combination of both the centralized and the federated or decentralized. So with this model, we're going to take the best of both worlds. The participating entities are still going to maintain ownership of their data. They're still going to control the authorization and access process, but you're going to take some of those matching algorithms, some of the data response queries, and you're going to place those inside. So in a hybrid model, you also may replicate sections of the data from your source systems. So if you've got some things that are queried fairly frequently or that are used as key identifiers in your algorithms, those can get replicated on a regular basis, either at certain hour intervals or daily if you need them, so that you have a consistent sort of source to draw from in that aspect. Maybe patient visit history or encounter data, some comorbidities, some high level problems, things like that. Things that tend not to change frequently over time for a patient. So keeping these models in mind, you may also have organizations that choose to participate in multiple health information exchanges. They may belong to a state exchange. They may also belong to another HIE that's connecting certain health entities together. They may belong to some payer HIEs. So it's not that when an organization goes forward with an architecture model that they're going to stick with necessarily one or the other. They may have different types of models, but if they're choosing to implement one where they're going to be the host, choosing between centralized, federated, or hybrid is something that you'll want to look at. So that's all I have for today's video. Thanks for joining, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you'll be alerted for the next video. Talk to you soon.